Just because you can't legally possess a firearm doesn't mean your right to self-defense goes out the window. Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about that. I did a short on my YouTube channel kind of talking about the current case that's going on right now and how the defense is making the prosecution look like a bunch of clowns. But what we're going to talk about, and there was a comment in that short that says, and he was talking about the 17-year-old Kyle, that he was in illegal possession of a firearm. So in that instance, you can't use a firearm in self-defense. Well, we're not going to get into the fact of whether or not he was in illegal possession. I've already done a video on that. In the United States, you got to be 18 to own a firearm, not possess. You got to be 18 to own a long gun or a shotgun. In Texas, you can be younger than that, so 17 and younger, and possess a firearm if you meet several criteria. One of them is defending either your life, somebody else's life, or if somebody specifically asks you to help defend property. We're not going there. We're talking about if you are prohibited from possessing a firearm, does that prohibit your ability to defend yourself or use said firearm in defense of your life? And I cannot find anything in Texas law. I've looked. I've even talked to a good friend of mine who's in the Bureau. No law exists on the books. Those are two completely separate issues. Your right to self-defense is absolute. It does not matter if you are a convicted felon or whatnot. Your right to life, your right to self-defense is absolute. So just because you might be prohibited from possessing a firearm doesn't mean that you can't use one to protect your life. There was actually a case in South Carolina, if you guys want to Google it, where a felon was in possession of a firearm, got in a shootout with somebody and ended up killing them, and they determined that it was a justifiable use of force because he was trying to defend his life. There's also a difference between illegal possession and engaging in criminal activity. In Texas, you cannot claim self-defense if you are currently engaged in criminal activity. That is completely different than illegal possession of a firearm. Even if you are a felon and you are not allowed to possess a firearm, as long as you're not engaged in criminal activity, like I said, going back to that South Carolina case, as long as you're not engaged in criminal activity, you have a right to self-defense. So your ability to defend your life, it's not mutually exclusive to kind of, your place in society or our judicial system. They are completely different things. So let's say somebody who is prohibited does gain access to a firearm to defend themselves or somebody else. What's the repercussions of that? Well, it's a case-by-case thing. His shooting or his use of that firearm in self-defense might have determined been justified. So they might throw that out. But he also then might get charged with illegal possession, whether if that's a misdemeanor or, felony, whatever the case may be. But they're two completely separate things. Once again, though, guys, illegal possession of firearms is completely different than being engaged in criminal activity. If you're engaged in criminal activity, you cannot claim self-defense. So that's the difference between the two. I know there might have been some confusion on that, but yeah, really no law exists yet on the books that prohibits somebody from, prohibiting a firearm from defending their lives or themselves or somebody else. Your right to life, your right to self-defense is absolute. So yeah, so we'll see what happens with this case. I'm curious to see what's going on. I think the prosecution has just rested today, but hopefully that kind of clears some stuff up because there's a difference between the two. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Be safe, be smart, be skilled. Catch you on the next one.